Alright, so when I first saw the Pwnage Symm 2, I got really excited. I saw the dimensions. They were very similar to one of our favorite mice on the channel, the Razer Viper Mini. But not only does it have the same dimensions, it's also wireless, which is something we've been asking Razer for months, if not a year now, and it still hasn't arrived. So good guy Pwnage is stepping in. They're taking over and they're creating the Symm 2. This is a smaller version of their previous release, the symmetrical. The pricing isn't too bad when you compare it to other wireless mice in the range. It's at $110, which is right in the middle. We have Glorious on one side at like $80. We got the Super Light and the Final Mouse on the other side of the spectrum on the higher end, with Razer fluctuating in between the two from time to time. Just depends on what time of year it is. In the box, you receive the mouse. You'll also get the receiver, which you can actually plug into the backside of the mouse inside to carry around. They've also got a USB-C cable. You love to see that. They've got the different button spacers on there, so if you want to change the distance between your clicks, it also changes the feel of that. We'll get into more of that later. So the main draw to the Pwnage mice is that you're able to swap out the front and back pieces. That front piece is held in by two magnets near the middle of the mouse. For the back piece, it slides into the back side of the mouse once those are on. This time they put both the honeycomb shell and the solid shell in there, so you don't have to buy them separately, which is nice. And like I said, it's been a big draw to be able to swap out these different colors of the shells on the Pwnage mice. They've got some beautiful colors. My favorite is that Dave 2D teal color that they put in this time. It looks amazing on the white. When you swap to that honeycomb, you'll lose about 4 grams. I wish Pwnage would have taken this a little bit further like Extrafy did when they gave us the 2 different shells for the M42. The first shape was more of a slanted slope, and then the second one was a hump. This will allow you to get more value out of the mouse, and I think this is a real missed opportunity here. I mean, this is something they could still put in later. Something to think about, Pwnage. I really think that that would actually make this a more viable mouse for most people. Now, the top shell has a pretty nice matte texture to it, but the sides I feel like are very slick. I feel like sometimes it just led to me not having a good of a grip as I should have on the mouse. So that's maybe something to work on in the future releases. The dimensions of the mouse are very similar to the Razer Viper Minis. It's just slightly wider by 7mm. Everything else is the same, which, to be fair, a lot of people were complaining about on the original Razer Viper Mini being a little bit too thin. I liked it that way, so it kind of lost a little bit of the magic for me compared to the Razer Viper Mini. Another area that I didn't like about this mouse in particular is it weighs in at 77 grams. It feels like a brick right now. It feels like the G502. It's 16 grams more than the Razer Viper Mini. I know this one is wireless, but that was one of the biggest draws to the Razer Viper Mini, was that it was the perfect weight at around 60 grams. Now you can take out the battery, but it's stuck in there pretty well, and you can also unplug it, but the way they did it almost feels like they don't want you to take it out. They glued it down to the platform. I tried to pry it open. It felt like I was gonna break the mouse, and then the plug is just so far deep into the mouse that it just doesn't make sense to take it apart. In their first mouse, I believe they had magnets on the batteries, and that one felt like more of like they wanted you to take out and customize this mouse. This one, it's like, be cool, chill out, fam. Just use it wireless, okay? Don't do anything crazy. Don't break the mouse, so you have to get a warranty. We got to send you out another one. But if you want to, you can almost break the mouse to get everything out. Now, once you do take everything out, it's gonna be around 66 grams. Still heavier than the Razer Viper Mini, so why not just go with the Razer Viper Mini? The mouse feet are pretty nice and thick. They're PTFE. There's the big slabs on there, just like these Zowie mice. The sides feel really good, but they do actuate if you do press hard enough. So that's one thing, but overall, it feels like a solid mouse in the hand. On the bottom of the mouse, you'll find the on switch for the mouse. They have a gaming mode and an office mode, which gives you 180 hours when you turn off the RGB, and it uses less resources. And the gaming mode comes at around 80 hours. Really good, but the battery inside, this thing is super heavy, so it comes with a price. And it also charges within 2 hours. Pretty good battery life when comparing it against other mice in this range. I think the Glorious Model O is at 71 hours, so get about 9 more hours in this mouse. Let's talk a little bit about the buns on this mouse. They have the Kale 8.1 switches, the best out right now. I love the side buns on these. They're very clicky, they're very light and crispy. Love that. The bun spacers also allow you to create a different feel to the mouse if you want more or less pre-travel. I like the idea, but it did little to change the feel of the mouse for me. Everybody's different. You might be able to tell the difference between a 0.1mm change, but for me, I was happy with the original clicks on the mouse. Now the scroll wheel feels good. You can also click down on the scroll wheel. Let's drop a sound test of the Pwnage Symm 2. The DPI button up top has the same increments, 400, 800, 1600, and 3200. So let's talk about the shape a little bit. It is perfect if you have medium hands. You can claw grip. That's the #1 size and grip for this mouse. If you have larger hands and you palm grip, forget about it unless you want hand cramps. If you do have larger hands, you can fingertip grip this mouse. Since it is so short, you'll have a lot of room to work and adjust the mouse. And since it's wider, it's gonna be a little bit better than the Razer Viper Mini for large-handed users. If you have smaller hands, you can do any grip with this mouse: palm grip, claw grip, or fingertip grip. They did a really good job on the shape here, but I still slightly prefer the Razer Viper Mini. The sensor is the 3370 sensor. This is the same one that Glorious just made a variation of in their mice, and the same one that the new Hottie S wireless is using. Doesn't have those high lift-off distance issues like the more budget sensor the 3035 had. This thing has been performing really well for me. Flick shots, tracking, everything. I didn't notice any skips or any irregularities while using the mouse. Seems like the 3370 sensor is a new standard for wireless mouse, so you're getting it in this $110 option. Now there is software for the mouse. You can control the RGB, the button commands, as well as changing the debouncing. The bouncing is adjustable down to 2 milliseconds. The lift-off distance is low, like I said before, and you can also change the DPI in there if you use some funky DPI like a 900 DPI or 1200 DPI. All right, so I wouldn't call this the Razer Viper Ultimate replacement. I just can't. The weight keeps it from being that, as well as the width of the mouse. I love the removable shell idea, but I feel like they need to expand on it at this point. They got the right switches in there. They got some nice side buttons. The customization is there. Overall, if you can't wait for the Razer Viper Mini Ultimate, or you just like a heavier mouse, then I find that at 73 or 77 grams, this could be a viable option for you. But personally, I would love to see this mouse down at a 60 grams to call it a true Razer Viper Mini Ultimate replacement. But then again, there's no signs of Razer ever releasing that mouse. So for now, we have the Symm 2. All right, it's heavy, but it'll do. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this review. I hope you have enjoyed it. It has been your boy BT. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.